Anti-regime protests continue to rock Iran as global pressure mounts on Tehran. The crisis is now escalating sharply, with US President Donald Trump announcing a 25% tariff on any country, absolutely any country trading with Iran, essentially targeting Tehran over its violent crackdown on protesters. Now, Trump says the tariff is effective immediately as the White House weighs in tougher options and even sanctions against Iran. Earlier, Trump warned that Iran has crossed a red line, keeping military action on the table. The White House says airstrikes are among several options, though diplomacy remains the first choice. The US has now issued a citizens' advisory for Americans amid the rising protests in Iran. Iran's Supreme Leader, meanwhile, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has hit back, warning that America does not understand Iran's real power and will face defeat. Iran's foreign minister, meanwhile, Abbas Araghchi, has accused Israel's Mossad of fueling the unrest. As international condemnations grow, the Iranian crisis shows no sign of cooling down. Meanwhile, here are some reactions from Washington and Tehran as well.
It's starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president. He's told all of you last night that what you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately, and I think the president has an interest in exploring those messages. However, with that said, the president has shown he's unafraid to use military options if and when he deems necessary, and nobody knows that better than Iran.
در تهران در بعضی جایی دیگه یه مش تخریبگر آمدن ساختمان متعلق به کشور خودشون رو خراب کردن برای که دل رئیس جمهور آمریکا خوش بیاد، چون او گفته که حرف بی ربطی که اگر چنانچه دولت ایران چنین کنه من میام طرف شما رو میگیرم.
Well, you heard the voices from Washington and Tehran. Meanwhile, we also have some expert reactions on the Iran crisis. This also includes a former political prisoner of the Islamic Republic regime in Iran. Listen in.
Regime has been always violent. Regime has been always oppressing the people of Iran for 47 years. And I just wanted to correct one of your number. The confirmed number is 2,000 people, 2,000 brave Iranians. The unconfirmed number is more than 10,000 people who were killed by the regime. So, I welcome to the new decision by President Trump, but this is not enough. This is not something that President Trump said it. You are loaded and you are ready. And the Iranian people are under the oppressing of the regime. The regime shut down the internet, Starlink, electricity, phone for several days. Now it's a time for action and responsibility to protect. R2P is a legitimate international law that we want President Trump invoke it on the regime.
I mean, this measure is really directed, I think, at China, who's collecting about 90% of Iran's illicit oil trade. But at the end of the day, don't forget there already were secondary sanctions on people, entities, and countries doing business with Iran. So I don't see what huge impact this is going to have at this point. I mean, as Salman mentioned, President Trump said, you know, we're locked and loaded if you kill protesters. And now here at Iran International, we're confirming 2,000 people confirmed dead, but we also are aware this is a very conservative number. And we're hearing possibly 7,000, 10,000 at least dead. The images coming out of Iran are very telling. We're seeing dead body bags, people arriving to the hospital already dead. So I think this is President Trump's way of saying that he's taking action. But in fact, I think this is going to do very little. And already, there's an economic collapse in Iran. So I don't see what kind of impact this is going to have at the end of the day.
Now we head straight to Washington, where President Donald Trump is again turning up the pressure on Iran and on the countries now that do business with it. In a surprise announcement, Trump says any nation trading with Iran will now face a 25% tariff on all businesses with the United States. That's correct. This order takes effect immediately. No exemptions, no timeline. Trump says the decision is final. Iran's biggest trading partners include China, Turkey, the UAE, and Iraq, raising the risk of fresh global trade tensions and geopolitical trade tensions as well. The move comes as Iran faces growing unrest back at home. Rights group report hundreds killed in a violent crackdown on protests. By insiders, they're telling us that at least thousands have been killed altogether since the 28th of December. The White House, meanwhile, says military options are on the table, but claims diplomatic talks are also ongoing behind the scenes. However, China is considered Iran's biggest trading partner. The move will also impact India, the UAE and Turkey, which are also among Tehran's major trading partners. According to the Indian embassy in Tehran, India exported goods worth $1.24 billion to Iran in the fiscal year 24-25, while it imported goods worth $0.44 billion, taking total trade to an approximate $1.68 billion.